Okay, so you want to be an illustrator.
You've got stacks of talent, we're assuming. But what else does it take to, like, turn those doodles into an actual career? That's what we're diving into
We're
today.
going through some stuff from RoleCatcher's career library that you sent over.
Right. Yeah.
And let me tell you, it's not just about being a digital Da Vinci or whatever.
That's true.
There's like a whole hidden side to this career, from like tech trends to career stages you probably haven't even like thought about.
It's true.
Yeah.
A lot of people think illustration's just about artistic ability, but there's a whole other toolbox you need to master, especially in today's world.
Right.
And don't even get me started on AI.
Apparently, it's not just about robots like drawing for us anymore.
Right.
But before we go full sci-fi, let's back up a bit.
What does an illustrator actually do? According to these sources, I mean,
Well, they're visual storytellers.
at their core,
Okay.
they take an idea, a concept, sometimes even like a whole chunk of text.
And translate that into images that capture, the essence of what's being said.
So it's more than just making things look pretty.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
about communication, problem solving.
And really understanding the message that someone is trying to get across.
Think about it, like a picture might be worth 1,000 words,
Yeah,
but the illustrator has to make sure those are the right 1,000 words.
that makes total sense.
And speaking of right and wrong, one of the sources mentioned the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects a 4% growth rate for illustrators between 2019 and 2029.
Okay.
Now, to me, that sounds, decent,
Yeah.
but not amazing by any means.
That's the thing.
While a 4% growth rate is positive, it means you really need to stand out from the crowd.
Right.
The rise of digital media means there are more people than ever trying to break into illustration.
Oh, for sure.
So yes, there are jobs.
But it's not exactly booming.
So you need more than just talent.
Right.
You need hustle. You need to market yourself.
You need to constantly be learning to stay ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
This isn't a career where you learn one software program and coast for 20 years.
Right.
You've got to be adaptable and stay on top of trends.
Okay, so we've established that the illustration world is like competitive and always changing.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like, day to day?
Right.
The source material breaks it down into 3 main stages.
Junior illustrator, illustrator, and senior illustrator.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's not as simple as like draw this, draw that.
You're right.
Each level has its own set of responsibilities.
Take a junior illustrator, for example.
Okay.
They're often tackling more technical tasks early on.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they're creating visuals for a textbook, working closely with authors and editors to, nail the right style and tone.
So they're getting their feet wet,
Yeah.
building those all-important communication skills we talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then, as they gain experience and confidence, they move up to the illustrator level.
Here, they're given more creative freedom. They're conceptualizing their own illustrations, maybe juggling multiple projects, and really starting to develop their unique style.
So they're leveling up, like finding their artistic voice, right?
Yeah.
What's the next, evolution then?
Well, eventually they might reach that, coveted senior illustrator level.
Yeah.
These are the folks who've really made their mark.
They might be leading teams, mentoring those junior illustrators we were talking about,
Right.
or working directly with, big-time publishers and art directors.
Okay, so they're basically the art world equivalent of like a seasoned Jedi Master or something.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
They've seen it all, done it all,
Yeah.
and they're, using that experience to shape entire projects.
Now, that sounds amazing, but let's be real.
You need more than just artistic talent to, climb that ladder.
Right.
What are some of those, essential skills aspiring illustrators should be focusing on?
Well, it goes without saying that, design skills are fundamental. Things like composition, color theory, typography, that's the foundation.
Yeah.
But you know what else came up a lot in these sources?
What's that?
Communication and media skills.
Which makes sense. You're not just, drawing in a vacuum.
Right.
You're working with clients and editors and art directors. You've got to be able to, talk the talk.
Exactly. And here's something that might surprise you.
Do I?
Strong writing skills are crucial for illustrators.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
I thought writing was for, writers.
it's more connected than you might think.
Illustrators are constantly interpreting written briefs, diving into research.
And sometimes even contributing to the text itself.
Wow.
They need to be versatile communicators, both visually and verbally.
So illustrators need to be like wordsmiths too.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Speaking of new things, these sources mention a bunch of different types of illustration.
Right.
I never realized how diverse this field really
Oh,
is.
absolutely.
You've got everything from like children's book illustration to editorial work for magazines, advertising, even technical illustration for, scientific publications.
Okay, so picture this.
Okay.
It's a day in the life.
And I'm an illustrator. What am I doing?
Well, it depends on your specialty, of course.
Let's say you're a children's book illustrator.
Great.
You might start your day like sketching out ideas for a new character, referencing the author's descriptions, and maybe doing some visual research to capture the right style.
Later, you could be working on finalizing illustrations digitally using software like Adobe Illustrator or Procreate.
So you've got that hands-on creative work, but then there's also the like collaborative side, right? Like
Yeah.
meeting with clients and, making sure everyone's on the same page.
Exactly.
And don't forget about the business side of things.
Oh, right.
Managing invoices, marketing your work.
And constantly updating your online portfolio to attract new clients.
Right. Speaking of portfolios, one of the things that stood out to me in these sources was the role of technology,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to like showcasing your work and finding jobs.
It's completely transformed how illustrators get their work seen.
It used to be all about like physical portfolios,
Yeah.
but now it's about having a strong online presence using platforms like Instagram or Behance to share your style and connect with potential clients.
It's like you're not just an artist anymore. You're like a one-person marketing machine.
In a way, yeah. And that's where platforms like RoleCatcher come in.
They've really tapped into how technology can help illustrators, navigate this whole evolving job market.
Right. The sources mentioned their AI-powered CV resume builder.
Yeah.
How does that work for illustrators specifically?
Well, think about it.
A traditional resume is all about, text, bullet points, dates.
Right.
It doesn't really capture the visual nature of an illustrator's work, right?
Yeah.
RoleCatcher's platform lets you build a CV that's actually visually engaging, showcasing your style and portfolio right alongside your experience.
So it's like a digital portfolio that's also a resume.
Exactly.
Two birds, one stone.
Exactly. And it's not just about showcasing your work. It's about getting it seen by the right people.
Right.
With AI becoming more prevalent in recruitment, having a platform like RoleCatcher that understands those algorithms,
It'd be a game changer.
it's like having a secret weapon
Yeah.
to stand out in a sea of applications.
Precisely. And on the flip side, it allows employers to find the specific skills and styles they're looking for more easily.
So it's not just about illustrators finding jobs,
Right.
but about employers, finding them.
That's pretty
It really levels the playing field.
And it speaks to this larger point about adaptation, which is something that keeps coming up in these sources.
Right, that whole idea of continuous learning and evolving alongside the industry.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about embracing new technologies like RoleCatcher.
But also constantly honing your craft, experimenting with different styles. Right.
And never being afraid to try new things.
So for someone out there who's dreaming of becoming an illustrator,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway besides, practicing their art until their fingers bleed?
I'd say the most important thing is to be a sponge.
Okay.
Soak up knowledge, experiment, don't be afraid to fail.
And remember that the art world is about so much more than just, technical skill.
Yeah.
It's about passion, communication.
And the, constant pursuit of visual storytelling.
It's about bringing your unique vision to life.
Yeah.
And finding creative ways to share it with the world.
Beautifully said.
And speaking of bringing things to life,
Okay.
before we wrap up, I have one final thought to leave our listeners with.
Okay, hit me.
We've talked a lot about the challenges of being an illustrator in the age of AI.
Right.
But what if we looked at it another way?
Okay, I'm intrigued.
What if, instead of fearing AI,
Illustrators embraced it as a creative partner.
that's an interesting way to look at it? How would that, work?
Imagine using AI to brainstorm ideas, generate different visual styles.
Or even tackle those, tedious, repetitive tasks that take up so much time.
Right.
That frees up illustrators to focus on the heart of their work, the storytelling, the emotion.
The things that only a human can bring to the table.
So it becomes less about, man versus machine
Right.
and more about, man with machine. It's about harnessing the power of technology to, enhance creativity, not replace it.
That's a pretty optimistic way to, view the future of illustration.
Why not?
It's a field bursting with creativity.
And who knows what incredible things will be possible when humans and AI, join forces.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of illustration.
Big thanks to the folks at RoleCatcher for providing the source material that made this all possible.
And to you, dear listener, if you're dreaming of a career in illustration, we say go for it. Just remember everything we've talked about today.
And never stop learning.
Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.